a little bit more patient, and I think I'm a little bit more of a complete player. What I always tell people is I'm amazed when I got to college at how many things like I just wasn't taught in the club soccer, high school soccer setting, and just I've learned so much from our coaching staff. They truly do like develop professionals. So just being in this professional environment, I've gotten to compete against elite level players every day, which just has pushed me to be faster, be stronger, quicker, sharper with everything that I'm doing. But then I'm also in an environment where I have to think about what I'm doing. I'm a team player in the sense that we play a very team-oriented game of soccer, especially here at South Carolina. And so everything we do is to be a better teammate to fill the role that's needed for my team. So I think I've added the ability to play in different areas of the field, different positions, serve different roles, and also have just a much higher level understanding of the game and of my position and my jobs when I'm on the field.
Senior forward Kat Berry is a marked woman. She earned first-team All-SEC honors last year and led the Gamecocks women's soccer team with 10 goals and 7 assists as Carolina won the SEC tournament and advanced to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA Tournament. Opponents will be doing their best to put the clamps on her in 2023, but she still has big goals for the upcoming season and beyond. She joins us now on Gamecock Talk. All right, Kat, last go-around for you, your senior year. Not a pun, but what are your goals for this season?
I want to be better every year. So my biggest thing this year is just to come back a little bit stronger, faster, be a little bit more dangerous, and then as a team, help my team succeed. We achieved a lot of good things last year, but senior year, I want to take us up another level, and I want to leave the program better than I found it, which is a hard ask. It's such a high-level program, but that's always been my goals from the second I walked in here.
Well, you've done some good things ever since you've been on campus. You've led the team in scoring every year, all SEC again last year, and I think you led the SEC in shots taken. You're doing a lot, leading the team in goals and assists. Where can you get better?
Yeah, I think there's always areas to get better, and the best way I can describe it is I don't feel like I've hit my ceiling yet. And so I feel like there's still just things that I know I can be sharper at. I can be a better finisher. I can help my teammates get involved more, I think, as a team, bring more people into the game, help my teammates be more dangerous and more successful. So I think there's just little things like that. There's times that I'm a perfectionist, so I can think back to last year and I'm like, I should have finished that one. Even in a game we ended up winning. It's the life of being a striker. And so for me, it's little things like that. I just want to be cleaner and sharper everywhere on the field this year.
When you look back at your 18-year-old self when you first got here, and you obviously made an impact on campus when you first got here, but where do you think you've improved the most since day one?
Yeah, I think that I'm just a little bit more patient, and I think I'm a little bit more of a complete player. What I always tell people is I'm amazed when I got to college at how many things like I just wasn't taught in the club soccer, high school soccer setting, and just I've learned so much from our coaching staff. They truly do like develop professionals. So just being in this professional environment, I've gotten to compete against elite level players every day, which just has pushed me to be faster, be stronger, quicker, sharper with everything that I'm doing. But then I'm also in an environment where I have to think about what I'm doing. I'm a team player in the sense that we play a very team-oriented game of soccer, especially here at South Carolina. And so everything we do is to be a better teammate to fill the role that's needed for my team. So I think I've added the ability to play in different areas of the field, different positions, serve different roles, and also have just a much higher level understanding of the game and of my position and my jobs when I'm on the field.
Teams know who you are by now. I mean, obviously that you've been in the lineup for going into your 4th year now every year. How do you handle that pressure? They know who you are. They're paying a lot of attention to you. You can't exactly hide out there.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, that's something I've always loved. I like that pressure. That's also kind of, like I said, part of being a forward. It is that moment that the ball pops out to you or you create that chance and you make it and everyone loves you, and you miss it and everyone hates you. It's one of those things. But for me, that's the ultimate compliment, is the fact that other teams want to pay attention to me. They want to mark me. They want to be yelling to cover me, whatever it is. So for me, that's always kind of been a compliment and something that I kind of wear with pride. I know it's going to be a challenge, and I know it only gets harder and harder, but that also makes the flip side of it when my team is successful and when I'm successful, makes it even better because you know that it never got easier, it only is getting harder. So to continue to be able to improve, knowing that I may be a center of attention or maybe a focus of other teams, if I can do it under those conditions, then I can do it under any conditions type of thing. And gives me an opportunity to bring teammates into the game. Like I mentioned, especially this year, we have a lot of really dangerous attacking options coming back and coming into the system with some freshmen. So being able to draw attention to me so then I can pass to my teammates, I think that's part of my game that I've continued to want to develop and think is like an underrated kind of part of my game is to be able to dish passes out, create chances for my teammates, and also be a playmaker in some ways. And so that's fun for me as well when I'm drawing attention to be able to find that open teammate.
As a senior, do you feel like you have to be a leader in some capacity, whether it's in the locker room or the coaches ask that of you, or does that just come as a natural progression because you've been here so long?
I think it's a little of everything, honestly. I'm always someone who is inclined to try to take on like kind of some of that leadership role. I'm a pretty vocal person, pretty vocal player on and off the field. So that's something that even like going into my sophomore, junior year, as I started to be a returner and a returning starter, kind of a role that I put on myself. But then also with that is kind of asked of us as seniors, as now a captain, which is just a really cool opportunity for me to kind of now, not only is it something that I expect of myself that I get to do, but then it's really like also kind of my job in another sense, the same way that things on the field are. So it's cool to be able to kind of be that person to have others lean on and look at. But I also just love that responsibility of being able to be a role model, to be able to be the person that people can look to when they want to see how we do things here, what to do in a trying moment, when things get hard, whether that's summer conditioning or when we go down a goal in a game or someone misses a chance or I miss a chance. It's something that I've had the opportunity to learn a lot from a lot of good leaders, and so to be able to kind of pay that back now is really cool.
A cool stat for you off the field. You graduated in 3 years. Now, student athletes don't exactly have a lot of time to themselves, and you're training year-round, games, practices, travel, study halls, whatever. And it's not like you were taking some kind of cupcake major. You were honors college, chemistry? 3 years? How'd you do that?
Honestly, I kind of laugh now. I'm like, how did I do that? But honestly, like it just kind of was one of those things where I started putting puzzle pieces together. And so it was a couple semesters of taking some really hard classes, but honestly, like that was going to be the nature of being in the honors college, being in my major anyway. And so I kind of just set a goal for myself, and pretty special thing, and I think a little different than your typical student athlete experience, though our team is works really hard in the classroom. So it is a standard that was set for all of us, but was kind of a challenge that I set out for myself, and that's kind of how I've been oriented my whole life.
Why chemistry?
It's a good question. I had a couple of amazing chemistry teachers in high school. One of my greatest life mentors was my high school AP chemistry teacher. And so I had just such a great experience with that, and both the classroom and just the people that I had met through that scope of study. And then coming into college, I honestly wasn't sure, and I always knew I wanted to do something that would give me opportunities to do people-oriented work because I love working with people, I love working in teams, kind of like I've touched on. And so I was kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so I'm chemistry pre-med, so I also did all my pre-med requisites during my undergrad. So my goal long-term when I'm done playing would be to do something in medicine, having had some injuries myself and a surgery recovery at one point. I think it would be really cool to have the opportunity to help people go through things like I've been through, get back on the field, go through similar injuries, and be able to have those meaningful relationships while also using the science and the skills that I've learned in the classroom to actually help people and continue to be connected to sports. So it was kind of a good intersection of a few things for me.
All right, so Dr. Barry, so what are we studying now with your master's work or what?
Right, so you can't do a master's in chemistry without doing your doctorate, which I do not have time for, nor is that in my plans for the short term. So I'm doing my master's of science and business analytics with the option to roll into my MBA. So potential to leave here with 2, maybe 3 degrees while I'm playing soccer, which is pretty cool to me. So I'm going to have a little bit different asset. I think a business side will give me a good perspective going into medicine, going into something else like that, and kind of just play to some of my other interests I've always liked, like some marketing and analytics type stuff, and I still have some of that math and problem solving element to it. So just a little something different that still had the flexibility to work with soccer and work with the short time frame of a year long or year and a half master's that I was trying to figure out, and then still offer me some new challenges because, like I said, I'm always up for a challenge. So that's something new that I kind of wanted to get out of my comfort zone and do something different for a year.
You're originally from Hingham, Mass. Where is that?
It's about 20 minutes south of Boston, so just outside the city, on the south coast of Massachusetts.
Why don't you have a Boston accent?
If you ask my teammates, they'd probably tell you I do. They tell me I say everything weird. My roommates love to laugh at me for saying stuff funny. I say they say stuff funny because they all have Southern accents in my eyes. I say wicked. That's probably like the biggest thing that like stops people in their tracks. I'm like, I'm having a wicked good day, or like, that was wicked awesome. And they're like, huh? What did you just say? But then I'll catch my roommates all of a sudden being like, I'm wicked annoyed. And I'm like, what was that? Did you just say wicked? Did I hear that right? And they're like, oh my God. So I guess it goes both ways. And I say like y'all and stuff now because I've been here a few years. But I don't think as many people still have Boston accents as you would think maybe. My dad has a little bit of one, but it kind of has worn off generation to generation. So
yeah, because it can stand out in a crowd, especially down
yeah.
here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so what's the best thing to do in Hingham?
Anything related to the ocean for me, like going to the beach, driving down to watch sunsets. That's like my favorite thing to do. I also just love the city of Boston. I could talk about it for like ever, so I'll spare you. But it is just the greatest city in my eyes, the best place to grow up. Going in there, you can do anything, watch sporting events, go to the water, go like out to the beach, go on boats, go down to the Cape, which is my other favorite thing. But also you have all the perks of a city. You have the history, the tradition, everything like that. And it's a perfect size in my eyes, so I can't recommend it enough if you haven't been.
Well, there are several folks on the women's soccer team from the northeastern part of the country, and obviously Coach Shelley and Jamie Smith have connections up there because of their time up there as well. So what was the biggest adjustment for you in moving to the South?
Yeah, well, I always knew I wanted to go somewhere different for school. As much as I love it up there, I just knew it was an opportunity to A, get out of my comfort zone, and B, if I wanted to play at the level I wanted to play at, I knew I probably needed to leave the Northeast just because the schools up there are great schools, don't get me wrong, but don't play in as competitive conferences or at the level of soccer that I wanted to play at. And so coming down here was an adjustment in a lot of ways. Obviously, weather-wise, it's a little different, but that was something I was looking forward to. I've done my share of blizzards and winters up there, so I was excited to have a little different weather. But other than that, it's just kind of like a slower pace down here to me, which is probably good for me. I like to move fast and get things done, kind of like I have mentioned. But it's just a different change of pace. I think everything here just moves a little bit slower, is a little bit more like laid back, easygoing. So that was probably the biggest adjustment. I'd be like in line somewhere and be like, why does no one have any urgency? A little bit, but it's really just a different, we have too much urgency maybe up north sometimes.
All right, so now I know you're year-round with soccer now with your training and all that, but that wasn't always the case. You played a lot of sports growing up and even through high school. What was that?
So I played basketball and lacrosse at the varsity level in high school as well. So that was a huge part of who I was. I actually went to a boarding school in high school. So I lived away from home for 4 years before I even came to college. And the rule at my school was that you had to play 2 team sports every year, be involved in like 2 team activities. So that included also like, you could do like the play or something like that. But for me, I was like, no brainer. I want to play sports and I want to play all of them at the highest level that I can.
I was going to say, nowadays you see so much specialization for young people in sports where they're playing whatever it is, soccer, baseball, or softball year round. And maybe kids aren't playing 2-3 sports like they did 100 years ago when I was growing up. But do you feel like that helped you either on or off the field in the more significant ways?
Yeah, I think it definitely did. For me in high school especially, like it was, if nothing else, like I was in the best shape ever because I was going to school from like 7 a.m. to 3 o'clock, straight from school to my after school practice. So that was basketball or lacrosse. And then I'd instantly go from there to my club practice, which was like 7:30 to 9 p.m. or 9:30 p.m. And then I'm like going home, doing my homework. So like I was just getting like so much conditioning. I was always had to be like locked in. You had to learn to manage your time. So if nothing else, like even just off the field, those skills that it translated and gave me were huge.
You mentioned you had an opportunity to play against Aaliyah Boston, the former Gamecock All-American, who's now doing great things in the WNBA. Did you ever go one-on-one against her? Or?
For like a short time in that game, I think maybe for like a minute or a minute and a half. And I think she fouled me like once, and I think that was like pretty much our extent of, I always tell people, she didn't score on me while I was guarding her, so that's like my claim to fame on it. If Aaliyah hears this, she would kick my butt. I'm not claiming that at all. And they won the game. They beat us for the New England title in the final that year. We played against each other, but it is just such a great story and so small world. Like looking back now, that I can kind of say that. My teammates laugh because they're like, "This is your favorite story ever to tell." I'm like, "Well, why wouldn't it be? Like, it's just such an awesome to be able to say that we played against each other in high school." And I just think it's so amazing. Like two girls from these small kind of unknown schools in Massachusetts to everyone down here are able to come down here and just compete at such a high level and work to make a name for ourselves and our programs. And I look up to her so much and everything she did and she accomplished in the role she played in the community here. So being able to kind of follow her and have the two of us both be down here with those kind of similar backgrounds is just such a cool thing to me.
Do you still play any of the other sports casually, even if it's just pickup? Or
Yeah, I love to shoot basketball, go out and shoot hoops, and that's just always been something for me that is such a mind-clearing thing. So whenever I get the chance to go out and just kind of get shots up, old school, I used to do it in high school for hours, just as kind of when I needed to switch off from school or from soccer. And do something kind of mindless, although I am really competitive. Sometimes it's all right, now I have to make 10 in a row or whatever it is, but there always will just be such a special place in my heart for that sport, and I just could see myself being involved or a fan for the rest of my life. I think if I had known how much I was going to love it in high school, looking back, if I wasn't at a school where they were the number one team in the country consistently, maybe I would have tried to play and could not play here. But it would have been something that I would have considered had I been able to foresee my high school basketball career, maybe.
Oh, it worked out well for you there here in South
Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing.
Well, now you're involved in the community with USC Dream on 3.
Yeah.
You did some volunteer work with them. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Dream on 3, I'm actually really excited about this. So the organization is just starting to do an official partner kind of through USC Athletics this year. So we have a team, I think there's 12 of us total of USC athletes right now, and we're fundraising to basically give a USC Sports Dream weekend to a kid from the Columbia community who's a USC fan, who has some sort of life-changing disability, condition, whatever that may be. So basically it takes about $10,000 to fund a dream weekend, and so we're fundraising that right now. We're doing all sorts of, we're going to run some events once school gets up and running again, and then we've done a bunch of outreach this summer, so we've already raised almost $6,500 towards our goal right now. And then once we get our kid, which we're in the process of doing and identifying right now, we'll find out exactly what sport their dream is related to. So it could be football, soccer, baseball, basketball, whatever it is, and then we find out their interests, we find out what they like, what kind of food they like to eat, what things they like outside of that, what they want to see, who they want to meet, and we make it all happen for them. And we kind of build this relationship with this kid over the course of between now and their dream weekend, and then it's supposed to last beyond that for them, and kind of to give this kid an opportunity to feel special and feel loved when they may other times in their life feel like they might not belong, or they might not always get the same opportunities we get. And just to have that opportunity, we get so much here, and I'm just so grateful to be at Carolina, to be an athlete here, to be able to represent this community, to do something like that that'll just be so special and life-changing. We're working with another organization that I've done a lot of volunteer work with, the Therapy Place, which is out of Columbia, to kind of build a partnership potentially there too, to continue this Dream on 3 partnership going between those 3 organizations over the next few years. So hopefully we can continue to find kids that are worthy of getting this awesome dream weekend and continuing to fundraise and make it happen and make it a annual or even potentially semi-annual thing. We might, if we could do one if we get a fall dream, and then we could try to run it back in the spring if it goes well, which is unprecedented, I think, for Dream on 3, but the Carolina community has already stepped up so much, which is just so amazing, and we're just continuing to fundraise and start to plan and make that happen, which is something that's going to be really amazing to be a part of.
Well, student athletes don't have a lot of free time between, as we talked about, doing everything for your sport and classes, and you graduating in 3 years, things like that. Well, why was it so important for you to take such a big role in this?
Yeah, like I kind of touched on earlier, helping people has always been something that I'm just so passionate about. Going back to high school, volunteering, giving back has always been something that has been a priority to me. And I think, just like I said, I've been given so much in my life, and I recognize the opportunity that I have and that I've been given and the privileges that I have. And so to be able to use that to give back to other people who both helped get me to where I am or support me in where I am, or maybe don't get the same chances to be where I am, is something that has just always been such a priority to me, and I feel like is so important. And so just having the opportunity to be a part of something like that. I've done a lot of work with like Special Olympics going back to high school, the therapy place, like I said, and now this. So that specifically is something that just has always had a special place in my heart, working with kids who maybe have disabilities or conditions that just change their life. And like I said, to be able to make someone feel special and loved and just be a light in someone's life who maybe doesn't always have it the easiest is just something that I think is an incredible opportunity and that we should do every chance we get. And so I've been so grateful to have the Carolina community, to have the opportunities that I do. And I just want to share that with everyone that I can and continue to be a person in this community who understands that I've been given a lot, and then also be able to give back and thank the people who support us, get us to where we are, and then also give back to those who we can in any way possible.
Well, that'll certainly make an impact on someone's life. Who's had the biggest influence on you throughout your life?
I think that a lot of people have had a huge influence in my life. I think my parents are just like the ultimate example to me. My mom is just my rock in so many ways, and she's just like the hardest worker that I know, and she just like loves my family more than anything in her life, and is always puts herself aside, puts herself second to everyone else's needs, and she is so selfless in a way that I hope one day I can be a fraction of, as hardworking and as selfless as she is. And then my dad is just like he's a firefighter, so I've always just looked up to and admired how brave he is. He's always just like the calming presence in the chaos, and is able to be so smart, so wise, and so calm when things get crazy. And so I've always admired and looked up to that, and both of them have just been my biggest fans throughout my entire career, my life, in and out of sport and beyond. And so I think just having them, and then I have amazing grandparents that are just huge fans of me. My grandfather just passed away a few weeks ago, but he was literally like my #1 fan in soccer and everything that I did, and like my mom, so selfless, so hardworking. And so I think I just try to be like them and emulate them, and then give back everything that they've given to me in my career and in my life. So
you have 3 siblings, and all of you first name begins with the letter C.
Yes.
The Berry family brought to you by the letter C.
Yeah.
Anything behind that, or just coincidence?
So my older brother and sister are twins, and they named them both with C's. And then I think they were like kind of trying just to figure out what to do. And then they kind of had my name picked out and really liked it. They loved the name Catherine. And then once it was there, they were like, well, what, are we just not going to name my little brother with a C? Like, that would just be a little weird. So it wasn't necessarily intentional. My dad's name is Christopher. And so when they named my older brother is Christopher Jr., so like that started it. And then they just kind of like had other names that started with a C that they liked. And so it just kind of like one of those things that I think just snowballed, and they had names they liked, and it ended up becoming a thing.
And you have a sister here?
So my older sister just graduated with her master's here in the spring. So she was here for 5 years, did her undergrad here, and then did her master's degree as well.
Okay. Well, women's soccer and women's basketball, especially the last 7-8 years, probably the 2 most decorated programs here at USC. Do you get recognized a lot on campus? Obviously, when Aaliyah Boston was walking around campus,
Yeah.
Everybody knew Aaliyah Boston. Do you recognize her on campus?
Every once in a while. It's so funny. Actually, last year, like right after, I want to say it was our Clemson game last year, I had some random girl like run up to me on campus and was like, can I take a selfie with you? Like random things like that. I've had like a couple of interactions, and a lot of times people will sort of like slowly put together that I play soccer. It's not so much like, oh my God, are you Cadbury? Like, I'm not that famous. But every once in a while I do. And even in the community, that's the funniest thing to me. We have so many, because we run like summer camps and do so much stuff like out in our community as a program, that a lot of times I'll have girls like from that or their families come up and recognize me. Sometimes when I'm like at work or other things like that, I'll have people come in and they're like, do you play soccer? Sorry, this is really weird. And I'm like, yeah, I do. And they're like, okay, well, you're Kat, right? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, you can tell they like sort of know, but they don't really put all the pieces together. But every once in a while, yes. And definitely you'd be surprised. I was surprised because there's just like college athletes aren't recognized like that up where I'm from. So coming down here, that was like one of the coolest things to me, is just like how invested the community is in the university and its athletes. And so being able to see that and reap the benefits of that firsthand is just like something I could have never imagined before coming down here.
All right, whenever soccer is done for you after your Gamecock career, maybe after a pro career, maybe after an international career, whatever happens after that, you talked about, maybe becoming a doctor. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now, maybe?
Yeah, honestly, like I'm kind of at the point where I'm sort of just seeing like where life takes me the next few years, and a lot of things just kind of depend on like how long I end up playing for and how healthy I am and everything like that. But like I said, the two things that will always and forever be a priority to me are helping other people. So that's huge to me, and I don't think I'll ever be far from sports. So whether that's in medicine in a community service type setting, whatever it is, something like that, I want to be able to be a problem solver and a leader in giving back to others, helping others, serving others. And so I think that anything that allows me to serve in a role like that, especially with anything that correlates or is related to sports in one way or another, is something that I could see myself doing for sure.
All right, one more season to go. What's been your most memorable moment here at South Carolina so far, either on or off the pitch?
For sure, winning the SEC tournament this past year is just so unbelievable. I tell people all the time, like, I think back to that whole week and I'm like, that just doesn't even feel real to me. Like, it was just so special being there with my team. Being down in Pensacola is just unbelievable. It's such a fun week just to be with each other. Our team was just so close last year, but then just having like all those moments. A couple that stand out to me are like hitting my PK and celebrating that PK shootout win in the semifinal, and then that goal from me to Bree in the final, and just celebrating that and like laying on the field with the confetti and like my hat after we won is like something that every college athlete dreams about. So getting to experience and live that firsthand, but also to have had a hand in it and known that, I contributed to that run in one way or another was just so special to me.
And last thing for you, what are you looking forward to the most about this season?
I'm looking forward to a lot of things about this season. I think something for me is just like knowing that everything's ahead of us still, and just trying to soak it all in and make the most of it. That can be a little bit of pressure, but it's something that I just am thinking about the whole way, is just taking advantage of the opportunities that I'm given and knowing that I have an opportunity this year to prove everyone a little bit more wrong and just to be a little bit better everywhere. So I just want to help our team however I can, and I'm looking forward to seeing how good we can get and just watching our team compete this year.
Well, good luck. Good luck this year and whatever's next after soccer.
Thank you.
All right, that's Kat Berry. I'm Brad Muller. This has been Gamecock Talk.